Why do you support Donald Trump?
For the most part, I don't support politicians in general. And I've always wanted to have a politician that was more of a businessman instead of a career politician. Because since I'm 46, my entire life, I've heard about the border, Social Security, medical cost, and every year or every presidential election, everybody stands up and says, I got the right experience to turn this country around and fix shit. And every single time, it's the exact same bunch of nonsense. We saw it with Clinton, we saw it with Bush, Obama, so on and so forth. And I voted for Clinton. I voted for Bush, then Obama. So I've gone back and forth. But I think Donald Trump looks at things completely different than any typical career politician. And I think he does exactly what he says he's going to do. And we're seeing the results of it. And I'm happy.
Okay. Well, I don't think that Donald Trump has done exactly what he said he was going to do, and I think that we can go through the different examples on that. But the first point I would say is what specifically is better with Donald Trump than a career politician?
Well, in my line of work, I deal with politicians every day. And politicians, for the most part, can be bought and sold. Yeah, have you ever seen, you're probably not old enough to remember the movie with Eddie Murphy from the 80s called The Distinguished Politician. Have you seen that?
No.
Or The Distinguished Gentleman.
Mm-mm.
It's basically Eddie Murphy gets elected into Congress. He's a career con man, and within a few months, he has Washington beat, and he's conning people left and right. And that's how I see most of politics being done. Donald Trump can't be bought. He's already made his net worth. He doesn't need to get bribed by other people or bought off. I think he's doing what he thinks is best for the country, and for the most part, I agree.
So where I disagree with you on that is because he's doubled his net worth since he got in office, and he's actively done things where foreign governments and different types of interests around the world could send him money for bribes. Like through for example, his meme coin, Trump coin, he dropped it, and foreign governments can buy it without actually us knowing who they are, and it could increase the valuation of his net worth. So Jimmy
Hold on
Carter
a
had to
second.
sell his peanut farm. Why doesn't Donald Trump have to do the same thing for his businesses and his investments?
All right, let's tackle one point at a time. When Donald Trump left office the first time, his net worth went down $1 billion from when he was inaugurated. That was his first term. I do not know what his net worth is over the past year. I haven't looked, but you're saying it's gone up how much over the past year?
It's doubled since he got in office originally.
Okay. Do you think somebody, and I'm in business, think about this for a second. Do you think Donald Trump, from getting elected and getting in office on January 20th, could manipulate the system that much where he can double his net worth in that short amount of time? Do you think that's possible?
No, I said since he got in office, like his first time.
Okay, so you're the 4 years you're that he wasn't in office, you're counting that against him?
Well, he mainly grew his net worth due to Truth Social because of the fact that
Okay.
that's his presidency, right? Half of his net worth is Truth Social, and he's also made almost $1 billion in his meme coin because he rug pulled that, right? We can give plenty of other examples, but those are just examples.
Okay,
Like
so
even the $400
when did he
million
start Truth
dollar,
Social?
he started it after he got kicked off of Twitter because he incited a violent insurrection at the Capitol.
What year was that?
This is 2022, I'm assuming.
Okay, so when Donald Trump wasn't president as a private individual, he started a company, and that company has significantly impacted his net worth. You don't have a point. So let's move on to the next.
The reason why that company got valuation is because of his notoriety as president, and he's continued to do these types of things while in office for his second term, like the meme coin, for an example.
What business did he start while he was in office?
Trump coin.
What month was that incorporated?
Wait, so saying that that was like a month or two right before, and when he sold it under when he was in office.
Okay. Do you know that all of his assets are managed in a blind trust right now, and he has no direct dealings with his day-to-day business?
So if you're saying that he has no direct dealings with his day-to-day business, can you please explain to me why he would be dropping a meme coin under his administration? Like, explain to me why he'd be doing that. And why does
He
he have
hasn't
to sell
directly.
his businesses similarly to how Jimmy Carter did?
Well, we'd have to go back and understand what laws were in place at the time Jimmy Carter got elected versus the way they are today. Do you know if they are exactly the same?
Well, I don't see how they're different as it relates to this
Hold on.
particularly.
I'm talking about laws here, not opinion. Are the laws different today than what they were
I
when Carter
don't
was in
think the
office?
laws are different in such a way in which it would affect like whether or not someone would have to sell their peanut farm or sell their
So in other words,
business.
you don't know.
And I don't think that we should view it differently. I'm saying if it
So
is
in
the
other
case that
words, you don't know if the laws are different.
I don't know, but I haven't seen any
Okay.
indication that it has
Okay.
changed that way.
Okay. So we
Would
don't
you
know.
like to
So let's
give
not
me? Would you
speculate.
like to? Wait, you're the one speculating.
I'm not speculating. I'm saying you're saying, well, I think because Jimmy Carter did this in 1975,
Yeah, I'm
that
saying
Donald
if
Trump
we
should have to do
apply
today.
this, I'm saying if we apply this standard in that connotation, then we should also apply it here. I'm confused what's so like
So you're
not
talking
understandable
about,
about that.
is it a law or is it something that they voluntarily did?
What do you mean? Explain.
Was Jimmy Carter required by law to sell his peanut farm?
I think that that was like in a like a law that specifically did at the particular time. Now that doesn't change anything. I'm specifically saying if you think that they should be held to the standard, then it is the case that you should also apply the standard to Trump. That's all I'm trying to claim.
I don't, I don't agree with that standard that if you get elected, you automatically have to sell any of your assets. I think if you put them in a blind trust, that satisfies me.
So you're saying that okay? So then, do you think that all of his assets are in a blind trust, every single one that
To my
he has no
understanding,
control over?
to my understanding, and I could be wrong here, but Donald Trump is not involved in any of his businesses, that they are operated in a blind trust primarily
So
through
who's
his
dropping
kids.
his meme coin? Who did that? Who did the Trump coin?
I don't know. Why don't you Google it? You're in front of a computer.
Who created Trump coin? It's gonna say Donald Trump.
Okay, but why don't you ask who's managing the day-to-day operations of Trump Coin? That's the important question.
Managing daily operations. I mean, I think that he clearly does. According to the meme coin website, Trump-owned entities together hold 80% of the coins.
Okay, who manages Trump Coin?
It seems like it's Trump.
It seems like
Yeah, it seems like he has the control. I mean, it's the his businesses own 80%.
GIC Digital and another company manage Trump Coin. Trump does not.
That's that's his companies. Those are Trump-owned entities.
Okay, but if the so Trump still owns the golf course. He's not managing it.
Okay, so his owned entities own the meme coin. That's obviously Trump
Okay.
owning them. Let's be real here. That's why it categorizes into his net worth. So okay,
Okay.
can we just acknowledge that this is like a corrupt, like it's absolutely
No,
corrupt for him to have something
no.
where we can't identify whether or not someone is sending him money or who's doing so because foreign governments can easily send money through these outlets and we won't know
I
specifically that they did.
I disagree. You're going to have to prove. You're going to have to be able to prove nefarious intent and actions. Donald
Well,
Trump, just like every president, has had their assets managed by outside people while you're in office.
can you give me a
You're going
source
to
that
have some
indicates
evidence.
every single asset of Donald Trump's is owned by an outside entity? Can you give me a source for that?
I didn't say it's owned by an outside entity. I said
Controlled, managed. Can you give me a source
his.
on that?
Or you're in front of your computer. I can't. You can't hear me when I Google it, but
No,
that's very
I'll give you
standard
time to
for.
go look it up, and then you can tell me.
Be right back.
All right. Did you find a source?
Yeah, I did. I asked ChatGPT, and it gives a pretty detailed answer of who's managing his assets.
Yeah, and it says every single one of his assets is not managed by himself.
Okay,
Is that
so
what it says?
there, yeah,
Which one did it cite when you're looking at it?
Reuters was the number one source.
Yeah, and what did okay? So what was the title of the Reuters article? And I'll look it up and I'll read from it.
Trump will not be involved in family business operations while presidency resumes.
Uh, uh, presidency.
Do you want me to drop the link in the?
I won't be able to click on it. I already found it. So
Now,
it says
I'll be
that
honest
Donald
with
Trump
you.
will hand over his daily management of his multi-billion-dollar real estate, hotel, golf, media, and licensing portfolio to his children, when he enters the White House. But that's not every single one of his businesses. That's just some of his businesses.
Okay, what business does he still manage the day to day?
So by the way, when you say wait, manage it. By the way, him giving it to other people to manage day to day doesn't change whether or not he has ultimate control over it.
Okay, you're right.
And if it's a
But do you have
trust
any
managed by his
evidence of
children, how
wrongdoing?
is that not controlled by him?
Do you have any evidence of wrongdoing?
Wait, so again, we're just saying that these particular types of things allowed for the president to do increase the likelihood that there is going to be corruption. We're not saying that I have specifically evidence already myself that he through the meme coin is engaged in corruption. We can point towards things that he's done specifically that would lead towards that very is likely possible. But in terms of this, we'd have to wait until we get out of office, and we're like literally not having a Trump DOJ run the office in order to be able to determine that to be the case.
Okay, so in other words, we don't have any evidence that any wrongdoing is going on. We just think because we don't like Trump that it's likely that
No, it's not that. It's
there
not
could be
because we don't
something.
like Trump. It's because of the set of circumstances that exist. That this is something that a president could do in this circumstance. So we want to limit presidents from having that right ability to
Then
specifically
create a law.
engage in corruption.
Then
Yeah, that's
create a
what
law.
I'm advocating for that.
Okay. So in other words, Donald Trump is not breaking the law.
Just because he's not breaking the law doesn't mean he's not doing something wrong.
Okay.
Are you
In other
saying
words, we don't.
everything that is legal is justified?
So what we're saying, let's just find common ground and what we can agree on. Uh, I understand you don't like Donald Trump, but he owns businesses. He's not breaking any laws,
Oh,
and
he
you just think
absolutely
it's
is breaking laws. This is saying in this
what
circumstance.
laws are he breaking?
Oh, I can give you plenty of examples. He's violating constitutional rights, our First Amendment right, our Second Amendment right, our Fourth Amendment right, our Fifth Amendment rights, and our 14th Amendment rights, right? That's Donald Trump violating
No, no,
multiple laws.
no, hold on. Let's talk about his business. Let's close that out before we move on.
What?
As in
That's
regards to his business, he's not breaking any laws, and we have no
I
evidence that
never
he's
made
doing
the
anything.
claim that he was.
Okay, then what are we talking about here? Why are we wasting this time?
I said that this is specifically bad because it can lead towards corruption.
Okay, then write your congressman and suggest next time a president goes into office, he has to sell any of his businesses prior to being sworn
Fireworks.
in.
That's what I'm saying right now.
Okay, great. So we found common ground. We can move on to the next thing. How specifically is
What?
Donald Trump violating the First Amendment?
Yeah, he put people in, or actually not put people. He specifically signed an executive order to put people in prison for a year for burning the American flag, which has been determined by the Supreme Court to be symbolic speech and protected by the First Amendment.
Who's been in jail for burning the American flag?
I don't have to give the name of a person. I can give someone who was arrested. There was a combat veteran that was arrested for burning a flag.
Okay, on their charge, on their arrest charge, why were they arrested?
On their I would have to take a look. It was because they burned the flag and then they got arrested right after. It's on video.
Okay, but you have to understand, did they get arrested on paper for burning the American flag,
I
or
would have
was
to
it
see
for?
what specifically on paper it was. I'm telling you
Okay,
what I literally saw in this context. And I also know the executive order that Donald Trump signed into law. That's explicitly what it said. That violates the First Amendment.
okay. But there again, I ask you the question, in order for the First Amendment to be violated, somebody would have to be criminally charged for that.
If he signs a law that specifically violates or signs an executive order that violates the First Amendment, that in of itself would say that he's in support of a violation of the Constitution, and he's passing an executive order in which does so. That in of itself, the passing of that executive order would be something granted as unconstitutional. Does that make sense?
Okay. Yeah, you'd have to let the Supreme Court walk it through, and I think they would likely judge that.
Well, the Supreme Court has already made a determination on this, indicating that
Would
it
you let
is
me
the
finish?
case.
Would you
Yeah,
be
go ahead,
cool?
man.
I was going to agree with you that the Supreme Court, I think, has already ruled that burning the American flag is protected under the First Amendment.
Yeah, that's what I said already.
Okay. All right. We can have a civilized conversation while we disagree. We don't have to cut each other off. Cool?
That's embarrassing that you just tried to say that we're not having a civilized conversation because I just tried to clarify something. You're being heavily
Well,
ridiculous.
okay. Do you want to move on or do you want to continue?
We can continue.
Okay. I would argue that there has been no violation of the First Amendment because nobody's been criminally charged for burning the American flag that you can show. We don't know what that guy got arrested for. We saw a video of a guy getting arrested after burning an American flag, and we're jumping to a conclusion as to what he was actually arrested for. The other day, you were talking about illegal immigrants And I think you said something along the lines of,
Jan Kerry was criminally charged for burning an American flag outside of the White House. That's a report from CBS News.
so on the arrest ticket, it shows violation, burning the
That's
American
what it
flag.
says. The charges. It says was criminally charged for burning American flag.
I'm going to call bullshit on that. Uh,
I'm reading it from CBS right now, and from you can find
would
this
that be
from
the first time
PBS.
the media was wrong on something?
I'm sorry, you're just saying that the media is wrong and you're not accepting it. What could I provide you in terms of evidence that you would accept?
I'd like to see the actual charges.
Okay, well then you can look them up yourself.
No, I'll do that afterwards, and I'll get back to you. Uh, but
Okay.
the other day, you said something along the lines of uh, about due process. If they're expected to follow our laws when they're entering our country illegally, shouldn't they receive legal protection as we're kicking them out, or something? You remember you said that the other day, or something like that?
Everyone needs due process in order for us to determine that they've committed a crime.
Okay,
So everyone
so
within the jurisdiction of the country as granted by the Constitution is granted due process rights. I'm confused why you just brought that up though.
well, no, you said it the other day,
Yeah.
and you're so I was wanting to talk to you about that then. I was just wanting you to clarify exactly what you said, and it was kind of because this that results in that. It's not exactly what you said just now, but it was something similar to that. At what do you think that somebody illegally entering the country, the second they break that magical barrier, they automatically are entitled to due process? If they
Everyone
step
within
one
the
foot,
jurisdiction of the country is granted due process rights. If you commit a crime in the country, you're granted due process, yes.
okay, and taking somebody who we know is in the country illegally and returning them elsewhere, you think that's a bad thing?
If they're in the country undocumented and they have not committed a violent crime or bad crime, I believe that they should be given a pathway to citizenship where they do not have to leave the country. So the best way to ensure that the most amount of people are vetted in the country, it's the best way to ensure that everyone is taken care of to the best extent and less people are exploited. And it's also a better way for us to incentivize our immigration system to go significantly quicker. So instead of funding the militarization of ICE, let's fund the immigration process and the vetting process to go significantly quicker.